Have you ever woken up and felt like the weight of the world is on your shoulders? And no matter what you do, you just can't shake that sense of being down and broken? Many of us go through these down times, and it could be extremely difficult to understand why. In today's video, I'm going to break down with you 7 different reasons why you might be feeling this way, and more importantly, what are things that we can start to do. By the end of this video, you're going to have a better understanding of your emotion and some practical steps and navigate through them. So if you're ready to uncover the reasons behind your feelings and start your journey towards healing, stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is Bennett. I'm here to share some ideas that have helped me move the needle just a little bit in my own life, and I hope you find it beneficial. And the first reason we're going to talk about is your true authenticity. You see, for so many people, they're living somebody else's life. It could be a parent, it could be a mentor, it could be a bully from school that you're just trying to prove a point. And for so many people, they get stuck in this routine of doing something because they have to show somebody else what it is they need to be doing. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing things that are uncomfortable for us, but to try to get real clarity in terms of why it is we're doing the stuff that we're doing. Even if those people have great intentions for us, we know ourselves the best. We can't come in with judgment, and what we have to try to do is we have to allow ourselves to see and ask the questions of why we're doing the things that we're doing. Similarly, so many people get so invested in something, and because they're so invested, they feel guilty or they feel like they can't stop. What we have to understand is, for many of us, we're trying to figure this thing out of life. We want to be able to succeed. We think certain paths are going to be the best thing for us. And if we could take the messages to understand that, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't the thing that we should be doing. Maybe this isn't the best path for me. We're going to allow ourselves to start to see opportunities and possibilities in a different area. And this is a question I one time asked a very successful entrepreneur when he was in his 50s, of why it is you're doing the thing that you're doing. And he didn't have an answer to me, and I could tell I really shaped him up. And if we can start to shift and to mold the type of personality and lifestyle that we want without the expectation of us needing it and our egos pulling us towards it, we can allow ourselves to find our true authenticity and to step into the person that we might become. And this takes us to possibility number 2, having no direction. And for me, this resonates the most because for so long in my 20s, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have such clear direction. And because of that, I was doing things that were just making me go in circles. I didn't allow myself to start to see success. I didn't allow myself to see certain opportunities because I didn't know what the thing was. And because I didn't know what it was, I felt terrible about myself. I felt like I was wasting my time. I knew time was so important and so precious, but yet I wasn't able to take advantage of one of my most important commodities. For so many of us, we get so stuck in terms of not knowing where it is we want to go, and therefore we don't take steps, we don't take the action. It's a terrible feeling, and we end up destroying our own self-esteem and our self-worth by being on this path. And for some of us, we might even get excited about something. We might have thought that, you know what, we found it, but then we're just let down because, you know, after a week or 2 weeks, we get back down into the reality of what our life's supposed to be like. That up and down, the highs and the lows, we don't want to take anymore. It's so frustrating, and we just want to be able to stay on that high. But what we have to realize is that we have to start to take the small steps. We have to start to take the experiences that we can get, because if we can start to set ourselves up in a way to allow ourselves to experience more, it's going to just open up more opportunities and more doors for us. One of the biggest mistakes I see people making is they're asking somebody else to live their life for them, to make the important decisions for them. And at a certain point in our lives, we have to take responsibility for our own lives. And one of my first true mentors that I have, I used to always ask those types of questions of, should I do this or should I do that? And he never gave me an answer. And I was always so frustrated. Just tell me, you know more. You've seen more of life than I have. But now as I got older, I understand, and I'm so grateful he didn't tell me what to do. He would coach me, he would ask me questions on certain areas of my life, but he would never tell me the direction of what I should be doing. Because he knew that if something would go wrong, I would just be pointing the finger at him. I would not be taking my own responsibility, and I wouldn't allow myself to move forward and take advantage of the life that I wanted to be living. So if you're somebody who doesn't have direction, look to take the small steps, even if it seems like it's not going to matter, because that's going to be the thing that's going to be able to allow us to open up the next door. And don't get put off if it's not the next door, because maybe it's in door 7 or 8, but as long as we keep moving forward and keep experiencing, we're going to eventually get there. It's one of the things that I personally found with my YouTube channel, trying to understand what is I can do to affect and to really change people's lives. It took me a while, but when I found it, I knew it was right. It would be a huge help if you could also subscribe down below. But more importantly, I hope you enjoyed this content. The third possibility that comes up is that we don't do the things that we know we should be doing. For many people, they're so frustrated because they know they could be stronger. They know they could be losing weight. They know they could be more social, but for some reason, they can't get themselves to do it. And what we need to understand is that there's usually a reason why we're not doing those. There's a reason why we're procrastinating and not taking the action that's only going to help us to move forward. And if we start to understand that and start to do the deep work, that can allow us to move forward and embrace the feeling and the excitement that we want. Because for so many people, they don't realize that the only thing that's holding them back from all the success that they want is themselves. And if we can remove those barriers, and if we could start to build our confidence and take the small actions to allow ourselves to do the bigger thing, we're going to see that we're really capable. You listen to the people who've made it, and they all are so shocked by the fact that they were able to do X, Y, and Z. And it's because they're human just like us. Success isn't saved for a certain type of person. Anybody can achieve it, and we need to be disciplined and consistent. And as long as we do those two things, we're going to be able to see that success. One of the most common areas that I find that so many people hold themselves back in is the fear of failure. They're scared to take the action because they're scared of the repercussions of what's going to happen. They're scared to move forward and to jump in. And because of that, they don't allow themselves to see the success and to even try. Not to say that it's going to be smooth sailing, and not to say you're not going to have some bumps in the road, but to not even try is probably one of the biggest failures. Imposter syndrome is another big one, and a nice frame that I like to do with that is to recognize that imposter syndrome is something good. It is just feedback that our bodies and our minds are giving to us that we are growing, that we are developing. Just like when you work out in the gym, your muscles are going to be sore. So when we are expanding, when we are pushing ourselves, we feel the sense of imposter syndrome, like we don't belong. We don't deserve to be doing X, Y, and Z. So the next time you feel like, you know what, I don't feel like I should be in this room right now, understand that's your expansion. That is you becoming somebody else. That is you growing in the moment. It's a beautiful feeling if you think about it like that. And if we can start to work on our mindsets, and we can start to recognize all the things we can be doing, and then we can start to take the action, the small steps to move forward in our life. The fourth topic that comes up so much when people get so frustrated is the expectations that they have of life. For so many people, they think that they should be in a certain place. They think that they have the right, just like everybody else who is successful, to be there. But the more and more you see successful people, you see how much time and energy it really takes to become successful. To become wealthy is a real skill. To become a great parent is a real skill. And for some people, they might be more natural at it, but they had to put in the time. And for so many of us, we're living in this fake world where so many of us do not allow ourselves to see what it really takes to succeed. And if we can start shifting our expectation just a little bit, it's going to be a thing that's going to shift everything. And this is only necessarily for the bad. This is also for the good. Because if we can start to work on ourselves, to put ourselves out there, to allow ourselves to have the proper expectation, we're not going to be let down. Because how many times did we think something should happen? We thought the result was supposed to be X, and really it was Y. And because of that, we got upset and frustrated. But if we can start to move forward and allow ourselves to see what it is that's really possible and what it really takes, that could be something that could shift it all. So much frustration comes from the expectations that we have. And we can start to shift that and manipulate our expectations to be proper, to understand that things do take input and work. That could be the thing that's going to not upset us as much. I guarantee that you're going to be able to be in the NBA after you take 10,000 basketball shots. Would you do it? And the answer is you might start, but you also might stop very quickly after. And for those people who want to see that success, they can allow themselves to do that. That's why if we have the right expectations, we're not going to be frustrated and annoyed at ourselves. And we're going to understand and appreciate what it really takes to become successful. It's why it's so important to have the right mentors in our life and the right people to show us what is really expected and what it really takes to succeed in different areas. If we could do that, we'll be able to break the limiting beliefs that we have, to allow ourselves to step into certain roles that we want, so we don't have to hold ourselves back anymore, thinking that we can do X, Y, and Z, because we recognize that we actually can. The fifth idea that comes up when people get so frustrated is the idea of realizing that there's so much more to life. This usually happens when somebody's going through a midlife crisis, but for so many other people, they happen so much earlier. They end up investing themselves in a certain activity, and then they look back and ask themselves, was this thing really worth it? Is this something that I really wanted to do? And because of that, they get so frustrated and so annoyed about themselves because they wasted so much time. And it's why it's so important to understand at whatever stage you are, thinking about how we can look at our future, thinking about what it is we really want to be doing, what is the impact we want to be making, where we want to be making the impact. That could be something that could change it all. For so many people, they're so focused on the past, and if we can start to say what is going to be moving forward, we won't be held back so much. We have to add meaning to our life by showing appreciation, by thinking about what it is we want to be doing. And by doing that, we're going to allow our egos to let go and allow the fulfillment to fill us up. And by doing that, we're not going to be so frustrated. We'll be able to move forward and to take that action that we're looking to take. And we're going to look to get out of the state that we're in and allow ourselves to really take advantage of our lives in the most meaningful and powerful way possible. And this takes us to our 6th topic of jealousy, especially nowadays with social media and us comparing ourselves constantly to other people, what other people have and how other people look. We don't even realize it, but we're constantly looking at other people's things and judging ourselves negatively towards it. And it makes sense because social media makes people look amazing. And for so many of us, we could only see this box that we're in. But if we could see really what's going on the outside, the chaos that's going on the outside, or what is going on in the inside, how they're really feeling, that could be a big shift. It's one of the things I try sharing on this video. I try giving you real experiences that I've gone through to show you that it's normal. You're just being a person. And if we could stop being jealous of others and stop focusing on what other people have and focus on what we have, that could be a quick tip out of being so down. We want to be inspired by others, but we don't want to desire others. And if we can start to recognize that comes from the inside of closing out what's going on, maybe even taking a break from certain platforms that are just getting you triggered and getting you annoyed, that could be the thing that could start to shift it all. So if you're somebody who's constantly looking to get jealous of other people, not on purpose, and we're not here to judge, recognize that maybe taking a break and doing some reflection, inner reflection to understand why you're good, why you're enough, that could be the thing that you can take out to allow yourself to see what it is that you want to become and to get yourself out of this rut to be able to move forward. And the 7th and final possibility is something that is really powerful. And I think for so many people, it manifests in different ways. And this is the idea of blaming others. It could be a person, it could be an experience, it could be God. And for so many of us, we go through different things in our lives and we're constantly pointing the finger at everybody else. And what we have to realize is that we have the ability to point the finger at the one person who can make it change, the one person who could shift and choose something different. And that is ourselves. How many times are we focusing on other people, focusing on other experiences that have happened to us, and we just get so stuck in it? The key to unhappiness is this idea of blaming others, about not taking responsibility, about not saying that I'm going to do something to change this. I'm going to shift this identity of mine and focus on what we can control. That's going to be the thing that's going to make it change. We're not going to be blaming anybody else. We're going to look to try to change our circumstances, and we're going to try to shift our perspective. Because ask yourself, by you blaming somebody else, even if they were in the right, has that served you? Has that given you the energy that you needed in order to move forward and to get out of this? And I would say 99% of the time, the answer is no. And if you're somebody who has a really hard time of letting go, of not being able to move past that, make sure to take a look at this next video where I talk all about the practical tools that you can use to let go in your life.